Jared Polin, Fro Knows Photo.com, and it's time for another Raw Edit of the Week, and it is brought to you, as always, by Drobo. Yeah, I got two Drobos sitting here, two Drobo S's, 20 terabytes of storage, but in redundancy mode, we're looking at 10 terabytes of actual usable storage for storing all my data, but one's the main drive, the other is a backup Drobo, and I can't wait to have a third offsite so that I am fully, redundant. So, those are my Drobos. Now, let's get into this raw edit. We have a file here taken at 1/400th of a second at f1.8, ISO 200, with an 85mm 1.8 Canon shot with a 50D. Now, one of the things you have to look out for when you're shooting with a 1.8 lens is shooting at 1.8. It may look like it's sharp from here, but when you zoom in on the eyes are not sharp. Now, that's not something that we can correct later, just because you can't really correct for that. I'm not sure where the sharpness is here, but there's a couple of recommendations that I would make before I get into the edit. And one would be really not to shoot at 1.8 unless you're going to be tack sharp on the eye. Focus really tight right on the eye. But even if you focus here and got this eye sharp, I mean, it's close, but it's not really sharp. I can't even really figure out where it is. There's nothing wrong at shooting f2.5 or even at 2.8 just to give yourself a little bit more leeway. Your background's still going to blow out just the same. Another thing I would suggest doing, along with getting the focus tack sharp right on the eye, is you can always bump the ISO a little bit. I don't have a problem shooting outside at, say, 400 ISO, and that's going to give you a faster shutter speed, which is going to counteract any movement, especially when shooting at 1.8. If you move, you could move your focus point. It's not saying that because your shutter speed's at 400th of a second and there's some handshake that it's going to go out of focus. It's just that subtle movements, even breathing when shooting, could not hurt, but could move your focus point and make it so that you missed your focus. So let's get into editing it. So obviously, I think contrast is strong in this. I want to pump it up. What happens, though, is this side of the face over here, this shadow area, it kind of gives it a weird... It's a weird, unrealistic thing. I don't know why, but I'm going to go with it. I think that it needs to be pulled back. It needs to be smooth. The clarity needs to come out. With too much clarity, it's just too harsh. I just feel that the clarity needs to come back, and then it just smooths it out. And then I got a little bit more contrast, and the eyes looking right at me. It looks a little better. Color-wise, I'm just going to pull back slightly on the yellow. The tint, I don't want to go too green. I'm going to go with that, and let me put my yellow back into it a little bit. Excuse me as I click that text message off. So there's my contrast. I mean, there's not much else. Do I want to? I don't want to crop it. I do wish it had a little bit more headroom, but I mean, it's a nice portrait here. So let's see what else we could do here. Pump up the black levels just slightly. Do we have room for Mr. Fill Light over here today? I think we do, to bring out the other side of the face right there. So we've got 0 fill light. Fill light is one of those things. I like it without the fill light. I like the thickness of it. And as you start adding fill light, you start running into, thickness issues. And I like thick prints. Thick photos, thick prints. And let's see. Post-crop vignette. To draw us in, let's see. A little bit. I think a little bit of that will do us wonders. So there we go. I like that. I don't really think there's much else I want to do to it. I like the warmth of it. I like the little bit of magenta hue in there, and it brings the eyes out. But why don't we just go ahead and save this as a snapshot 1 and go ahead and go black and white here. Yes. Yes. Let's see if I go with fill light a little bit. Pull back on that exposure. Oops. Didn't mean to hit the brightness. Boom. Contrast. Black levels, black. I mean, it's just, this eye is really, really freaking me out the way that the light is over there. I don't think this is something that I could, Nah, it just... Just maybe a little bit, but it's just like there's this. That's with it gone, and that's with it. I just think, oh no, I got to get rid of that. That's too much. It's too much. It's weird. It's like, it's kind of weird looking. I don't know why, but I like this black and white edit. And let's move this slightly. Wow, look what's going on in the background. There. I mean, it's a nice even tone. I wish it was sharp as could be. It's just interesting with what's going on here with the eye. So I'm going to leave it with those two edits, save my second snapshot, so I can come back to both of them. There's the black and white. There is the color. I mean, let's see. No. I'm just going to leave it at that. I like the glowiness of it, and that's where I'm going to leave this. And Adam, you're up. Let's see what you do with it this week.
Adam Lerner, and welcome to this week's Raw Edit. Today we have a portrait of a very pretty girl with really stunning eyes and a very nice, relaxed look, very soft lighting. Overall very nice headshot. It's cropped a little bit tight to the top of her head, but that doesn't really bother me. The face, the eyes are nicely sharp and focused, so a lot we can do to punch this up, to give it a little bit more boom, to sharpen things a bit, to get her eyes to really sparkle, and to get her skin to just look really kind of creamier and a little bit more radiant. So very first thing I'm going to do is white balance, and I'm going to use the picker. I'm going to go into this neutral area here, and I'm just going to correct it slightly with some hue. It looks a little greenish, so I just want to bring that up just a tad over there and just give it a little bit more warmth. Okay, so I'm just going to go somewhere around there. So before, after, that's a little bit more to my liking. All right, exposure. I'm just going to bring the exposure up just a hair, okay? I'm only going to do so because I don't want to overexpose any of the areas, so I'm going to use the fill light to just bring up some of the other areas here. And I'm going to leave that right about there. Blacks, I'm going to bring those up. I don't want to underexpose a lot of stuff, but I just want to kind of give it more punch. And contrast, I'm going to do the same. I just want to punch things up a little bit. I don't want to go too crazy there, although that does look really nice. I mean, those eyes are just incredible. So I'm going to bring things up to somewhere about there for the time being. Clarity, I want to get those midtones in there, and I'm going to go somewhere around there. And highlights, I'm going to bring in some highlights just to give it some sheen. And already off the bat, I'm really liking the way that looks. I mean, if we just do some basic sharpening right here, let's just go into her eye, and we'll bring that up to about there. We'll mask it off, bring this up to about there just to get the contour detail. And if we look at the before and after, I mean, that is just really an incredibly nice difference. Now let's go into the HSL, because I want to just work on her skin a little bit here, and I'm just bringing up the orange level and the yellow level just to give her skin more of a glow, just somewhere around there, something like that. Okay, before and after. Really liking the way that's looking right there. And these eyes are just incredible. I mean, they almost need nothing, but just for the fun of it, I'm going to actually use the brush tool right here, and I'm going to select Iris Enhance, and I'm just for the sake of a quick enhancement right here, I'm just going to take my tool and click it on our iris. I'm going to do the same thing on the other iris. I'll move over with the navigator, and I'll do that right here. Boom. And that just kind of brightens things up. Now, it's probably too much, almost like otherworldly, so let's just bring the exposure down, and we'll just bring that down to like there. Okay, I'm going to close that tool, I'm going to zoom out, and wow, just look at that. That is really super stunning. So that I think is going to be my edit. This image on its own came out of the camera really nice and sharp, and here we have an image that's really nicely punched up and really stunning, really nice beauty shot, headshot. That's my edit, and let's go off and see what Jared's got.
All right, and we're back. Adam Lerner's here. We've got 4 edits. We've got 2 from me, 1 black and white, 1 color. Mine's on the left. The left 2. Adam's is right here in the third one, and the photographer's edit is over here on the right. Why don't I just say what my issue was first?
Sure.
And I think you corrected it a little bit, and it was the right eye. sorry, the left eye.
Mm.
You know, there was something with it in the shadow that made it. It's just weird. It's like there's like a light thrown in right on that eyeball that's just making it weird. At least it made it weird in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I was wondering if you used a bounce card or something.
Because there shouldn't be light there. It's like something that, it's like something was added. So, looking at yours, I see that it looks like you bumped your clarity. Did you notice that the sharpness was off?
Yeah. I bumped the clarity. I noticed that the sharpness was off. And the thing is that because her eyes are so incredibly stunning, you know, it kind of compensates for the lack of clarity. I mean, if there was clarity there, it would just be amazing.
Right, and I talked about that being shot at one. You know, just because you have a 1.8 doesn't mean you need to shoot it at 1.8.
Or if you're going to shoot at 1.8, you got to get your focus spot on.
And like I said during mine, it's like if you breathe, you could move your focus, especially at 1.8. And the shutter speed being at 400th of a second isn't really a major deal, but I did say that you could really bump your ISO. You don't always have to shoot outside at 200. I mean, you know me, I'll shoot outside at 1200, 1250 just because I want to get a certain shutter speed and a certain look. I don't know. I thought the black and white could pop. It's just there's something with that eye, with that extra light thrown in there that really threw a lot of it off, because I didn't really want to go in there and try to use the healing brush or the touch up thingy mabobber to make the changes. I mean, I did a little bit, but and I went backwards on the clarity. You went up, I went back because I just felt like it was a little too thick, and it looks like the photographer themselves pulled back on the clarity.
Yeah, the photographer really softened things up a lot there.
They probably noticed that the sharpness was slightly off.
Sure.
But framing-wise, I mean, composition-wise, it's nice. She's got a great look.
Yep. I thought that it was cropped a little bit tight to the top of her head.
A little bit, yeah.
I mean, I would have liked to seen a little bit more room there, particularly because there is some, you know, some fill light up on there. Maybe it's just coming from the sky or whatever. So it just adds another dimension to have her pop against that kind of blown out background.
Sure.
It'd be interesting to see if, you know, if there were other shots, you know, of this series, if there's another one that's a little bit, you know, less dramatic with that eye.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's interesting. The more I look at my edits, the more I start to like them. I did something that you normally do as a post-crop vignette. I actually threw that in there.
Ah, very nice. Yeah, that actually, in the black and white, it really works. The color version of yours, to me, looks a little bit kind of brownish.
I like I call that the Fro-Nose gold hue. No, I just made that up. I don't know. I like the feel of it, and I didn't want to go too green, which I think that the photographer did. And
now, if this was an image that I was going to deliver, I would have taken this into Photoshop and I would have created a duplicate layer, and I would have masked out her skin a little bit just to soften it up. I wouldn't have gone into Lightroom to do it because, you know, her skin, although she's got great skin, she just has like a little bit of texture on there that I would have liked to have cleaned and not have done it just by using clarity tools.
Right.
Because I wanted the clarity to be in other areas. So for a 3-minute edit, you know, I like the way the one I did really pops and has kind of boom.
Yeah, don't steal that. And you know what? This is kind of why sometimes, you know, I like editing my own photos for the color and stuff, but maybe getting somebody who's actually a retoucher in Photoshop could take some of these things to the next level. And, you know, but that's, you know, I should pretty much wrap it up. Do you have anything else you want to add to it?
No, I mean, I think that, you know, it's a cool shot, and I think when you're shooting it, you know, with a 51.8, you just really have to be careful with your focus. 85.8, sorry.
Yeah, just any 1.8. Just because you got 1.8 doesn't mean you need to shoot at 1.8. The background, like I said, would still have blown out either way. And, you know, hold your breath. It's like shooting a gun. Hold your breath when you're pulling the trigger, you know, because any movement at 1.8 is going to definitely throw it off. So let's see what you guys come up with a raw, you know, editing this file. And when you guys are submitting files to fronosphoto@gmail.com, be sure to, you know, try to send something that's pretty much your best shot. You know, I know that we set out to take a great shot and make it better, or good shots and take them to the next level. But what I'm looking for and what Adam's looking for, we're looking for things that can be edited to be made better. A nice composition, or maybe a crop would be nice for a composition, but also things that everybody else can throw in and edit for. And I think that we may see some interesting ones again this week. I know I say that all the time, but with the black and white, the color, and the different tones, and maybe somebody will spend more time and take this into Photoshop. So let's see what you guys come up with. All right, Adam, thank you. Want to thank Drobo again for sponsoring, and be sure to send your files in, and let's see what your raw edits look like. Jared Polin, Fro Knows Photo.com. See ya.